Hi everybody, Tom Oates from the State Journal and madison.com here. Today's subject is the Brewers. A third of the way through the season, they're winning 1/3 of their games. In order to make the playoffs, for the next 2/3 of the season, they'd have to win 2/3 of their game. And you know what? Those numbers don't add up. They're done. They need to think about retrenching, selling off a few assets, trying to rebuild for the future, whether that's a short window turnaround or a 4 or 5 window turnaround like the Cubs and Astros did. This team is presently constituted, has to change. The question now is, over the next 2 months when baseball trades are made, what can the Brewers do? In many ways, their hands are tied. They have some veterans who will bring something in the market. Players like Loesch, Ramirez, Lind, Parra, Broxton, they're all on expiring deals. And they will bring something, but they won't bring the kind of high-end, high-ceiling arms, young arms that the Brewers really need in order to come back and become a viable team once again. Maybe even Francisco Rodriguez. K-Rod has a 2-year deal, but he might bring something. The question is, how much will he bring? There's other players who might bring something, except for there's extenuating circumstances. Ryan Braun, certainly, between his large contract, 5 years for $105 million that kicks in next year. Matt Garza has a couple more years left on a pretty hefty, on what was a $50 million contract. Those guys would be very hard to move for the Brewers. Very few teams would want to accept that kind of salary, if any. So, again, their hands are tied. If they really want to make a quick turnaround, they're going to have to give something up. They're going to have to give up something very valuable. That brings it down to players like Jonathan Lucroy, Carlos Gomez, and Gene Segura. I think that if you're looking at players who would bring something in return, hard to see them trading Jonathan Lucroy. He's so popular in Wisconsin. He's a very, very good player, and he has a team-friendly contract. So hard to think they would move him. Gomez, as popular and as integral to the team as he is, I think would bring the most. His contract expires after the 2016 season. They would probably have a hard time re-signing him. Now would be a time to move him. If some team, a contending team, are you listening, Seattle, or a team that wants to contend, might need a center fielder. Same goes for Segura. I think Segura had a quote-unquote sophomore slump, but he seems to be back now hitting and probably would draw a lot on the market. And the Brewers are loaded down in the minors at the shortstop position. So unless the Brewers see him as their second or third baseman of the future, he might be a guy. But the point is, a third of the way through the season, the Brewers have to do something because at this point they're just out of it.